This time we're live. Let's go, Gary.
That was funny. Then we got music too.
Yeah, I was getting excited. I was like, all right, we're gonna go live, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, I need to send this thing over to Guy really quick. So, I think all is well now.
Okay,
How's everything going for you today, man?
it's it's going good. But I had feed. Hold on a sec, real quick. I got feedback. I got two going right now. Something going on here.
Uh-oh. Well, let's make sure. Let me change something. I bet you it's me. Let's just make absolutely sure that I'm not making feedback. How about I got Keri in the background? Can I get a thumbs up, Keri, if you've got weird audio too? It sound good? Okay, I think we're good. Gary, are you just hearing weird stuff or what?
Okay, I'm done. You know what happened? That is so weird. I've never had that happen before. I had a reminder set for the video, and so what happened
it was playing.
It was playing in the background, and there was about a few second delay. So as I'm talking, I'm hearing myself talking. I'm like, oh, what the heck is going on here? And I didn't realize it because I'm like, I don't want to miss my own show. So I hit a reminder on YouTube. Go figure. Right?
I think I did that the last. I think we did that on Bull Tank. That's what happened to me. And I almost froze and like asked everybody, and I realized it was just me. Well, let's do this. Formally, welcome to the live stream. We're getting started here. So something that you might not know, there's two spaces where you've got to be able to pivot. You got to be quick on your feet. Things happen. You got to adjust on the fly. That is Web3 for sure. Things change there all the time, and you got to move with it. And that's live streaming. And this is a Web3 live stream. So let's go. I think
so double the pivot, right?
Yeah. So like we're good.
So many times we're making a full circle, I guess. I don't know. It's been a fun day, though. People may be wondering, why is it so late that you guys are getting your promotional material up? That's all about the pivot, right?
That's right. Yep, we got going. So our friend Sammy Arriaga is out. He's doing a live, he's doing a thing on Twitter today. And a lot of our music artists that would normally be here on the show with us are supporting Sammy, as they should be, as I am. My heart is with him, even though I'm here on the live stream right now with everybody else. So I'll be joining him afterwards, as I think I should invite everybody. Go check out Sammy's live on Twitter after this. Meanwhile, today on the show, we're going to be covering a few things. We're going to dive into news in a second, but specifically, there's two things that I want to highlight, and both of those have awesome women in Web3 attached. That is the title of our live stream today. We've got two awesome women from Web3 that are here, that are representing different causes, and we're going to dive into that. So that's coming up. Gary, have you been paying attention to news or things that are happening in the space over the past few days?
A little bit. Something that I saw earlier today, as a matter of fact, I was kind of scouring things to, what can we talk about our topics? So we like to talk about topics on the show before we get started. And, I had a couple things I want to talk about, but just a couple hours ago, I saw this post that popped up and I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I saw a BuzzFeed article just a few hours ago popped up about shillers in the space, specifically celebrities. Interesting. They got a consumer watchdog group had sent out letters to 17 celebrities in the NFT space about shilling NFTs and not disclosing their connection with that NFT. So I thought, okay, this is interesting. They're targeting celebrities, but with anything that happens with anything, you're going to target the people that have the deepest pockets or the highest profile. But then is it going to eventually start filtering down to some people maybe in our space? So I'm going to be real interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch where this goes. But is this going to become a thing where now all of a sudden celebrities, influencers in our space are going to start getting called out for shilling projects and not disclosing what their connection is? And a big part of this article was Jimmy Fallon specifically. He was gifted a moonbird, and he had posted a moonbird on his Twitter space and actually had raised the floor. I mean, it's hard to say what raises the floor, right? I mean, how are you tracking that? What metric can you track that the minute Jimmy Fallon posts something and the floor goes up if that's directly connected? Regardless of that, he was called out for that pretty strongly because he posted something and there was a direct effect on that floor. And so, and he didn't disclose what his connection was, didn't disclose that he got it for free as a promotional item. So it's going to be real interesting to see where this goes, because I know in the space, being in the Bulls and Apes project, part of an NFT, a success of an NFT project is you want to go out and find influencers that one like your project. Hopefully you're going to buy into your project. That's ideal. And it's what our space is about. And if this is now going to become something that is frowned upon or is criticized or is now regulated, which is what I potentially see happening, how is that going to change the dynamic of how NFTs are marketed in the space and how projects go out and look for those influential people in Web3 on Twitter, in TikTok, or whatever platform you're talking about? How are they now going to balance providing a service of marketing an NFT or a community or a project, and how they have to disclose what their involvement with that project is? Are they are they a holder and they just love it and they're like, hey man, this is awesome? Or are they a paid shill, which is what we see a lot in this space, where they're just paid and they go out and shill? So it's
what's interesting. Like, imagine what if they want to do that and nobody told them to, and they're just stoked about it. Like, what if they're just like a normal person for 5 minutes that gets to be like, hey, I have this thing and I really like it. Right. And like, and there's no shill. The interesting thing is that's going to be something that people try to regulate, but then they're going to find out, like, how do you even know? Like, you can prove it on blockchain if they bought something or if they were given it and talking about it. Because if you're given something, that's where it actually gets. That's basically where you have to say ad, whether they want you to make an ad about it or not. If you were given the thing and then you're talking positively about the thing, then like you have to disclose, hey, I was given this thing. So I think that's no different than, if somebody sends a TikToker a vacuum, they're like, you got to say that it was an ad,
Right. Yeah. And I get that. So, but it's not being regulated in the space. And, it's a free for all, we know that, and part of us as a project, as now a show, we're going to educate, hopefully the people that are watching us, as a project, the Bulls Nation project I'm involved with, that you're involved with as well. We're trying to educate the people around us. But a lot of people are getting into this space, brand new from Web 2. I've never been in here. They're coming in. They're seeing what they think are influential people getting into projects, the project's rug. That's what's creating, I think, this dynamic where now all of a sudden you've got this watchdog group that's feeling like they have to step in, which is a bad thing. It sucks that you've got some kind of body, a regulatory body or influential group or whatever they are, watchdog group, coming and saying, hey, you guys, you need to watch this. But it just means that we need to be policing our space better. We need to do a better job of making sure that, we're promoting projects that are positive and making sure that we're identifying projects that could have problems, but we can only do so much ourselves. Web3 is all about decentralization, right? It's all about anonymity. And once you start doing all these other things, you're taking that away. So where do you find that balance? That's hard.
Enter Instagram. Here we go. Couple days ago, Instagram. Now there are literally going to be posts that people start seeing for the first time that say that this is a digital asset, and you'll be able to click on that and see what the number of the NFT is. There's going to be, enter blockchain to Instagram, and that's super centralized, but it's also cool because you've got mass adoption that can be the byproduct of that. So like, I think how we started the show, there's gonna be so many little micro pivots that happen right now as this thing gets shaken up and people come into the space that are coming from all over the place. They have no idea what's what. And I guess to end our little news section here, I'll say this. Clearly it's working for certain brands that are doing things right. Looks like Tiffany sold out their 250 cyberpunks, right? That were CryptoPunks that were is it cyber or crypto? I don't even know. It's Tiffany stuff. That's above my pay grade.
The Tiffany stuff, I know.
The Tiffany stuff. Either way, 50K each, and there's 250 of them. So what was those, like 12 something million dollars that came in? That's a decent way to enter the space. So stuff's coming up. Well, let's pivot to our first guest here. We're going to be talking specifically about IRL events. And in this case, something that's happening in Las Vegas. We got a bunch of friends that are going to be there. I'm going to be there. So anybody that wants to talk Bulls and Apes, I'm going to be there. And we'll make some content and have some fun in Las Vegas. It's going to be multiple days. So without further ado, I want to bring on Keri, who's going to be talking to us about the NFTLVcon. And Keri, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Keri.
Thank you for having me. How are you gentlemen doing?
We're doing
good. There were trees last time we talked. There was beautiful trees and this like sound in the background behind Keri. And to our benefit, she went to her office, so no more beautiful trees. But we got Keri and we can hear her well.
It was beautiful, but this signal is definitely more reliable.
That's awesome. I'm gonna try to pull up some pictures here in the background. But before I do that, I just wanted to ask you, like, what can you tell us right off the bat about the event? And any new changes that might be important to lead with, and then we'll dive in and start chatting about it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you asking that very specific question. So yeah, absolutely. It's been an exciting journey. I'm super blessed to be working with these great teams who are working really hard to bring a community event to Las Vegas so that we can do exactly what you were talking about, bring these communities together and network and talk, get to know each other, right? Spend quality time learning what's behind the scenes and how we can pick each other up. And we did have a major change. So we changed the venue, and that was recent. We had boots on the ground for the past like 3 weeks. They've been in and out of Vegas. And we've been deciding and designing the flow of the event. And because we've been spending so much time talking to the community, and really after all of these events that we've recently been at as well, because we've also been going to all of the different expos and all of the conventions, we really decided that, as you mentioned when you started this, a pivot would be a good decision. And so we decided to really hone in the experience and make it all about that networking and like this really kind of close-knit community feeling. So we changed from the Westgate, which is this really kind of large, formal experience, to Fremont Street, and we're going to be at Notoriety, which is right in the heart of what I understand to be the historic part of Vegas. So I'm super excited that gets to be my first opportunity to be in Vegas and to have this. But I think having that intimate experience of being able to be with the speakers that we do have coming, which are the favorite people that we love to see, and really getting to know them and hear behind the scenes, when you're in these Twitter spaces and you're talking formally or you're at a major event, you don't have the opportunity to really dive into someone and say, but why did you choose that? What attracted you to that? So this design of the event for us will really give us that opportunity to get to know each other much better.
Ooh, I'm going to try to throw some pictures up. So let's see. I don't know if this is going to work or if this is not going to work. Ooh. Tell me what I'm looking at right here.
So this is one of the rooms inside the Notoriety, and it's stadium seating, which is great, right? So you'll get to see. We're looking at it from the stage into the seating.
Ooh, look at that one. This is cool. I'm gonna keep sharing these. This is awesome.
Yeah. So this is nice, right? It's like totally different than what we're used to in that kind of classroom formal expo experience.
That's a cool format. So you said this is in Fremont. Is this in one of the hotels? Because I was just at Fremont Street last weekend, so I know that the area very well. Is this at one of the hotels, or is this a venue off of Fremont Street?
This is a venue off of Fremont Street. It's got a few things inside the building. This is the top floor, the third floor. And it's called Notoriety, and then there is a bar down on the first floor, I think, called the Nerd. And so we'll be doing things, and we'll have that will be where on Saturday we spend our main amount of time, where we're really hanging with each other, we're having our talks, we're having our discussions, but we've got a lot of fun activities planned. So there's a pub crawl, co-op crawl, we've got a pool party and VIP parties. So we've got to do a Vegas style, right?
Yeah. So this is our stage. This is where people are going to be speaking.
Yep.
Heck yeah!
What a great venue. This sounds like fun, like you said, having to pivot, but to pivot to something like this, that's going to be much more intimate, that you're going to really be able to do that networking connection. That is so cool. I wish I could be there. I'm out of town literally 2 days after Vegas, so I couldn't squeeze it in, but that looks amazing. It looks really, really cool.
Well, I'll be there. I'll have enough fun for both of us, Keri.
Good for both of us. That's great. Which is sad because Vegas is only 3.5 hours from me, for both of us. So it's practically in our neighborhood here. So, but that looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think we've spent a lot of time listening to the community and thinking about these events, right? So we're halfway through the year, and we've been talking about all the different NFT and blockchain and crypto events, and how are people feeling, and what's your return on investment, and what do you need to consider for your own personal metrics, right? We're coming out here for a purpose, and are we getting return on that? So we've really been listening hard.
That's
This
great.
is
And
awesome.
you're doing something different, which I think is really cool. I mean, like you said, we've seen all of these events. It's been a lot of events this year so far, and they're following kind of the same format. It looks like you guys are breaking that mold a little bit, and you're going to do something so different. Maybe you guys are going to set a new standard for a different type of event, which would be really cool to see.
I'm hoping so, to be honest. I hope that is what this does, because we're Web3 people. Everything we do is different. So it was always kind of odd to me that our conventions and our events were the same as that you see in this traditional space.
Right.
So I'm excited. I hope we do break the molds, right? And that changes how our events are planned and created going forward.
That's cool. Very cool.
Well, I'm hoping, I don't know for sure. I'm hoping right now that we just tweeted out the actual, the video, the YouTube video for this, because I'm starting to see people in the back in like the green room here on StreamYard.
That might be my fault, actually. I think that's
I don't know. I have no idea.
No,
Either
totally
way, we got fun stuff. So we're going to be talking about women in Web3 in a minute, but do I have what now?
Do you have the proper link? I think I don't have the YouTube link. Put that in.
Yeah, no, I got the link, and we shared it out, I think on Twitter a minute ago. So either way, the point of these shows specifically is to provide the value, to talk about things that are happening with our friends in the space, with people that we want to put on and like get this as a shareable link. There's very few people that are using online video, especially live video, because it's not polished, it's not perfect, it's real. And I think that's like, not only is it cool, but it's just fun. It's just fun to be part of. So I'm just excited. We're gonna share a video that's going out that is something that our friend Brooke posted, and she sent over a video, and then we're gonna bring her on and chat with her in just a bit. So but before that, I just wanted to kind of keep going on the event here in Vegas. Are there any speakers that you can talk about, or anybody that's going to be joining us that you're particularly excited about? Is there any shout out to people that want to go that haven't found out about it yet? Like, what else can we talk about?
I'm excited that, Miss Darcy Donovan's going to be there, and she's bringing A Nation in that project. And I'm super excited to finally have their attention to geek out with them. Right. And talk about, because I like to talk about the tech part of it all. I have been sucked into the event planning part of it all, but it's not really what I do. And I think the most exciting, and I personally brought this speaker in, but Jared Fink from Cosmic Wire is going to be there talking about all the really incredible, exciting, innovative tech developments that they've been doing for some pretty major brands. And it's a combination of Web3 and the virtual, I'm going to call it the virtual verse, instead of the metaverse, because it's bigger than the metaverse. We have Wendy O is going to be there. I'm really excited to see her speak in person. I actually haven't seen her. I mean, I've been right. And I did hear her on one of her incredible Twitter spaces that she does each week, and she is a powerhouse. So
she's amazing live too. She's got her live stream dialed. She speaks fast. She speaks with intention. Like she's a great example of powerful women in Web3. She's kicking ass, and you are too. And I definitely want to dive into a little bit of your background as well when we're chopping it up with Brooke here in a minute. But I'm
one thing
super
we
excited.
should really say is that Las Vegas residents get to go to the convention for free. So get onto that event, right? Come on in. One of the biggest things we're trying to do here is onboard the people who are Web3 curious, right? Like, let's talk about what this means. Let's share the experience that you get from listening to us a bit in the Twitter spaces and, out on these podcasts and the things that we do. And let's dive in. So there's an educational portion of this, and that's free to all Las Vegas residents. So we want to spread that, right? We want to give back to the community. We want everyone to know. And then, of course, there are other, you can come to the parties and buy the tickets for those. And if you have an NFT3 ticket, you get into everything. So there's a lot of very exciting stuff going on.
That's
awesome.
Cool. Very cool.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I know we've got Brooke that's coming in just a second, but while I don't have her waiting to come on, because I see an extra device or something that's trying to attach, but it's not Brooke. So I do have her video, and that is loaded up and ready to go. So this is a video that Brooke posted live on Twitter today. It's hilarious. I want you to see it. The theme of all of this is women in Web3, and she's a little bit funny. She's got a really big TikTok presence. So she's funny. Yeah, but she's just herself. Like to her credit, she's not going out there and telling. She's got hundreds of thousands of people that are watching what she's doing on TikTok, but that doesn't mean that they're all Web3. And I heard a really great space the other day that was specifically about women in Web3, and somebody gave her some advice, and they said, it doesn't have to be about Web3. You can exist there in Web2, and you can exist here in Web3, and you don't have to bring the people over. I myself, I've got a following in Web2, completely different than anything that I do here in the NFT space. And I don't feel like I have to go and pull them on over. But either way, making content is a really fun thing to do here in the space. So without further ado, I'm going to play Brooke's video here really quick. And maybe she'll join us and talk about it. Here we go.
What's the panel about? Yeah, the panel is comprised of a really dynamic group of women in Web3. We're really just trying to onboard more women into Web3. Yeah. Well, what's the topic? Blockchain development? What? Community building? Okay. Moderators are women. Panelists are women. I believe a lot of the audience will be women. Really just trying to onboard more women into Web3. It's onboarding. It's a panel of women speaking about women of Web3. Got it. Do you know that WAGMI actually stands for Women Are Going to Make It? On board. Women in Web3. You going to come to the panel? You got it. You got it.
Oh, and on cue, there she is. Brooke, why are you so funny, Brooke?
That is so funny.
I was. And I was like,
if you can't laugh at your own humor, like, you're not going to make it.
Oh my God.
I felt like it was the best expression of what people talk about. Because you hear, like, they're like, I have a panel. And you're like, what's the topic?
You know, it's funny, it comes from 20 years of being in tech. Like, Brooke, we're going to need you to talk about being a woman in tech. Like, it's the same as being a man in tech.
So let's go on that. I want to actually start this off by, like, I want to go back a little bit later and dive into a lot of your roots and the way that you've used all of that in the Web3 space and in TikTok and all of that. But specifically on this subject of women in Web3, you are like the only person that I can talk to about this without specifically feeling like I'm going to say the wrong thing. Because you're open and honest and you're just yourself and you talk about this and you put that in this video. And I just, first off, want to thank you for that because it made it fun and approachable and funny. But I want to talk about it. Like, I want to talk about that fact.
Let's
that,
go.
Like I think that this is the subject that can help so many people because you got all these badass women in Web3 and I want to see them win and I want to see them reach men and women and non-binary people and all the things, you know, and like, I think it's all about getting your message out there to reach everybody that can help instead of just saying like, I only want to reach, like, this is not Web 2. It's not, we have to be ultra niche and that's the only person we're talking to. So anyway, that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts, Brooke?
Oh God, so many thoughts. Obviously you just played, I mean, it's funny, but it's also just, like, you can't fault people for sort of thinking this, like, oh, we need to meet some sort of quota, so we have to have this many women. I know with, like, Keri, nice to see you. I know with, like, the website situation we were talking about, I was like, there's not very many women on there. So, I mean, it is a thing. It's like, we have to balance it. That's what it is. It's a balance. And if you can't, like, talk about how silly it is, but on the flip side of that, it's a marketing tool. I would rather be in a situation where I'm the minority, right? Like I was a marketing tool when I first started my computer repair business, being the only woman-owned and operated computer repair business in the Pacific Northwest. Did I actually do that research? No, but did it bring people into the business? You better believe it. So like it's just a balancing act, and being able to speak about it and be like silly about it, because I might be making fun of it, but we all know, Chris especially, I sit on a lot of women in Web3 panels, or even like women in tech panels. So I'm not like making fun of something that, because I think it's like not a thing, or that, people that do that are ridiculous. Like I'm that person. There was even a comment joking about Jen, who's at Adult Arts, and I was literally sitting next to her on the panel talking, and somebody got video of her, like the look on her face, and then posted it under my video. And I'm like, I'm the one talking in that. You guys are making fun of the fact that I'm talking on a panel, and you're like looking at the, response of this one girl, but it's my voice. Like the whole thing is ridiculous. But I think it does boil down to, instead of us being, talked to, like a lot of people will ask if, what's it like being a woman in tech, or what kind of obstacles have you had to get over? And I'm like, the obstacles are this crap. Like, let's just talk about the fact that I'm a technologist and I'm an expert in certain things. And let's just talk about that instead of what's it like being a woman? Like literally the same as being a man, other than the obvious.
The obvious.
But
other than you're asking me this question.
Right.
What's that, Keri?
I said, other than you're asking me this question.
Exactly. Other than like, we don't have men in Web3 panels. That's, I mean, we do. That's the whole point, is that a lot of panels are just a bunch of dudes. I get that. But we're not saying like, hey, it's just men on this panel. That's ridiculous. Why?
We should though. I think from now on, we should do that. Just to call it out. From now on, all man's panel.
Oh, you guys have that one that's all men. Gotcha. Like, totally get it.
That's right. I got a question. So do you think that there's an overcorrection in the space then? I mean, do you think it's men that are trying to push this? Oh, it's an all women panel. It's an all women thing. Do you think it's an overcorrection, or do you?
No.
What do you think?
There's no difference in my opinion.
Right.
I know, Chris, you said that it's like Web 2 versus. I don't see any difference. I've been around a long time, and there's no difference. It's just that now it's a new like perspective. Now we're just talking about different things. Whenever there's like a much heavier population of guys, which it just is what, my microphone. It just is what it is. Like, right. Did I just mute myself?
Sorry. No, you're good.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
His is much better. Oh, yeah.
I know.
I would hope so. I spent a lot more money than the average bear. So let's go.
I think that it's just no, I don't think it's an overcorrection. I think I'm a numbers person. I'm a technologist. Like I love numbers. And if we look at statistically, the amount of men that are in crypto versus women, it just is what it is. So it's not necessarily an overcorrection. It's just that we're not like talking about it. Like, let's just talk about it. Let's make fun of it and then bring it up.
This.
There's 20,000 views on that in 4 hours. I also, just by the way, I posted that on TikTok. The whole idea of like repurposing content is a farce because it's got 400 views on TikTok, and I have millions of views on TikTok. It has 800 views, but 20,000 in 4 hours on Twitter, which isn't even a video app. Sorry, I love statistics and numbers, and like
it's all about the audience.
It's right? all about the audience. Yep, nobody gets it on TikTok.
Nobody gets it.
So
all right, go ahead, Gary, and then I got a question.
I want to ask another question, and the reason I'm asking this is because I have a 20-year-old daughter. So, things like this I think about all the time. I think about the challenges that she goes through, things that she has to do. Whatever. She's working on her career path right now, but it's a challenge. And so my question is you said that, the space, cryptocurrency, NFTs are very heavy weighted for males. I mean, we know that. And you made the comment that, there is no difference between women Web3, women or men in Web3. I mean, it's the same. We're doing the same. But don't you think it's still important that we highlight that just for the fact that there's not an equal representation of women in Web3, that there needs to be something to elevate that, to attract women that are not in this space to go, okay, well, maybe I can be part of that. Maybe this isn't just a male-driven space or industry, that I do have an opportunity to do something here, that I can enter this space and be confident that I can provide the value that I know I have. I mean, don't you see that there's still a value in that?
Absolutely. I look at it more of like being an example as opposed to like pointing out somebody's some issue. Like, I'm an example of a woman in tech. I'm an example of like being able to be confident enough to go sit on a panel or do whatever, as opposed to me calling out the problem or saying like, you need this or you need that. I'm not saying I'm immune to doing that, because I've obviously called out people for doing it. But is it the guy's job to like create that? I don't know. I wish I had the answer, but I don't. Like, I don't know whose job it is. I know what my job is to be an example, and like to people like your daughter and anybody following me on TikTok, I'm an example that's all I can do is control what I do and what my son does. I have an 18-year-old son who, when I showed him the video, he's like, I wish that I could say stuff like that. So many of my guy friends are like, I wish I could say it. K Money was like, please do content that I can't do. And like, that's where it all stems from, is because guys don't feel like they can talk about it. Well, maybe that's where we go with it is, hey, I want to create this like safe space for guys to talk about this.
Hey, honestly, I can use that.
Spaces end up, right? Like, when we're like, there are a bunch of us ladies up in the Twitter space, and I feel like that's what the guys feel like. It's a safe space. We can talk about the things.
Right.
Because it is kind of ridiculous when you go to see a women's panel and it's not necessarily talking about anything.
I think it goes back to this like percentages thing. You know, there's certain industries and jobs that women like to do more than men do. This particular thing, men like technology more than women do. It's just a thing. It's just how our brains are wired. I've always been in the tech space. I have a picture like from 1998 doing an internship where I was working on the Y2K bug, and there was a bunch of girls in that internship. So this is kind of a new problem. It wasn't always like that. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. We say it's a problem, and then it becomes a problem. Like, we talk about there not being enough women in tech, and then what do you know? There's not enough women in tech. I don't know. Like, I've just always been a part of a group of guys, whether it be in the corporate setting or you know, the devs that work for me, and that's just how it is. Like, instead of saying like this is such a problem, there's actually like a story or a statistic about the people who are doing stock trading, like on Wall Street, where they want to hire women, and they're like, where are the women? It's not that they're not hiring women, it's that women are not applying for the jobs. And so that's the example that I want to set. That's the example I want my other tech women friends to set, that example, and stop talking about how it's so not equal. Well, where are the women? I've stood and talked about being a woman tech on a lot of panels and a lot of like just me on stage. And I've brought on a bunch of guys that have that are like managers of IT at big companies in the town that I live in. And they're like, we want to hire women. Where are they? That's not their problem. It's an industry problem. It's a like, I know like for a long time, I was doing these workshops for girls, like getting girls into tech. Back then it was like, I'm a hardware person. Like, we were building computers, and I would do these workshops just at the school, at my son's school. And I remember him saying to me, like, why is it just girls, Mom? Like, that's strange. Like, at that age, and he'll even tell you now, like, why are you separating it? Like, that seems odd. But again, what's the answer? I don't know. It's balance. So these girls would come in and they'd be like, oh my God, I'm taking apart a computer. This is so cool. So I set the example, and not like, hey, you got to break through some ceiling. Like, no, just do whatever you want. If you don't want to do computers, then don't do computers. Like, if you want to be a nurse or a model, like, go do that. Nobody's saying you have to like go down this beaten path or whatever. whatever. I could talk about this for hours.
You could, but that's why
Awesome.
I asked you to come on the show. But this is actually something that that I asked your friend Gigi the other day. And I listened to a panel of a bunch of awesome women. They gave you some awesome advice. I was talking about that earlier. And one of the things that you mentioned to me was that me hitting up a bunch of women and telling them that they should get on video camera and make content does not hit the same way as people that actually understand the whole process, what that whole thing looks like. You're a content creator that is a technologist that has a TikTok following that also has a Web3 following. That's not most people,
No.
right? So I get a pretty cool, unique perspective from you. But my question, and I think what the answer to the question was, how do I help get more women content creators in Web3 that are actually getting on video and talking to the camera and doing these things? The question for me is, how do I reach them and speak to them in the way that I would with a dude, but without screwing it up? Because that's
Well,
really
I think
the issue.
you can't slide in their DMs. That's for sure.
Exactly.
I can't just probably like making your own content and putting that out, like just teaching about it, like you were doing with the lights and stuff. Like do your content teaching about how they can do the videos and the right equipment. Obviously, I don't know how to get the right audio. So, I mean, which is funny because you've literally sent me a link. So I should already know that, but I'm busy.
Well, to that point, everybody's audio sucks. That's how it works until for some reason you really care that your audio is good. And then at that point you cross that bridge. But the cool thing is that when I got to reach out to Gigi, that was, running that whole panel the other day, the idea was like, well, maybe we can do a collaboration where instead of the information coming from me directly to say like, hey, this is how you do this is how you do that, I have that blanket statement for everybody where I'm like, it's not about how you look, it's not about how you sound and all that. But to be honest, that's only coming from my shoes, my perspective. And I know that I can't give the same message as a blanket statement to absolutely everybody. So I think having that go through a filter of people who are specifically educating women in the space and empowering them and giving them the tools and equipping them, to Gary's point, about like, you can do it, here's how, and actually have a lot of those steps, that requires more than me coming through and be like, I'm a content creator, I'm a dude, and just do it like me. Like, I don't know, maybe not, but maybe through that filter and through the lens of somebody who understands the different things that I just have no clue about, such as being a woman. Got no clue. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited about seeing how this, to the point of this whole stream, little pivots, little things that require a little tweak, a little change to it so that we get where we want to go. Because it's just not a straight and narrow path to walk down. I think it's just going to take all sorts of
and
little
you got to
things.
remember too, like this is people forever. I mean, we met a year ago on Clubhouse, and most of the time I was talking because people want to know, how did I do it? How did I do it? And I've struggled with it so much. I'm like, I'm the growth hacker's worst nightmare, because I would literally sit in my car looking at the camera, no makeup on, whatever, and have 1 million views. So the answer is stop trying so hard. That's the answer. And, it's not lost on me. Like, there's obviously an innate ability for me to, I'm gregarious and my facial expressions. This is literally how I talk. Ask Chris, like, this is how I am all the time. So that's easy. So if you aren't like this, then you have to overdo it. Like, you have to find it wherever you are. Because if I was to just talk like this, then I'm not really that engaging. And this is how people normally talk. And then, this is not cool. That feels weird to me because that's not how I actually talk. So if you are not like this, you have to literally, like, almost uncomfortably use your hands or like make the facial expressions, speak louder. Yep. Speak with more intonation. People have always said like, oh, I like listening to you talk because your voice goes up and down and you can follow it better. So again, it's been very easy for me because this is just how I am. That's not going to be 99% of people. You have to overdo it. you have to say something right away in the piece of content that is going to get their attention. That every single time, not saying like, "Hey everyone, hey TikTok," like no, it has to just be like, first things first.
Get them while they're there. Yep, because otherwise
right.
they're going to be gone in a second.
You watch TikTok too, like the people, like the TikTok influencers, they go overboard. Like, like beyond being passionate. It's like just silly. It's just silly. Right?
Yeah.
It's what captures people. Like
that's the way actors are, and comedians, and all of that.
Yeah, you gotta bring on the passion.
Yeah, exactly. If you're everybody's an expert at something. You are obviously an expert at something, even if it's being a stay-at-home mom. That's what a lot of these women, when in 2020, when I got on TikTok, it was right during quarantine. A lot of us were like, we got to get off Facebook. There's so much arguing. It was awful. And my son doesn't do social media. He's a gamer. So he was like, was gaming all the time and whatever. And I remember him coming out of his room and I'm laughing hysterically, like to the point of tears. It's like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's TikTok. It's fucking hilarious. Like dying. And then I started doing content and it was like, it saved my sanity. It 100% saved my sanity, making people laugh. I was doing these little like quippy sort of punchline things and people were then using that to lip sync to, which is just a dopamine rush, really. So it was like this incredible tool to be able to like help people through a really difficult time. And then it just blew up from there. I don't know what my point was.
It's just awesome when you're into it. It can be really
fun. The passionate part of it too is like you're expert at something is what I was saying. And a lot of these like single moms during that time would be like, here's how I'm dealing with the fact that everyone's at home with me. Because remember that? It was horrible. At home, we're like, what is going on?
Single, you were like, you had a million hobbies. And if you had a family, you were like, I have 0 seconds to myself. Right. 0. Literally 0.
And I had it totally, different because for me, it was the mental health. I started with a lot of mental health content because that's where I started with a podcast. But for me, it was like, I was by myself. I was newly single. And it's like the walls were closing in and my kid would go to his dad's for the week. And I'd be like, I'm so social. I couldn't even, like, the walls were closing in and I got to be funny and all these people, it was like a community. So that's
Gary, how much TikTok have you got to experience?
Quite a bit. Oh yeah. I don't have any content, but I've watched it. It's funny that you say how you talk about, everybody's an expert and women. I remember during the pandemic, same thing, my wife's a school teacher and she was at home now doing lessons from home, missing that social interaction. And she got into TikTok and how you said your son walked in the room. I cannot tell you how many times I walked in a room, my wife is busting up. If she go to bed just watching TikTok, I mean, it's that rabbit hole you go down, right? You watch one video, leads you to another and the other. And she would just watch this content over and over and over again, just busting up and laughing, start sending me things. And you saw, and a lot of women really found themselves, I think, in TikTok. It was, she follows a lot of people on TikTok and it's some funny content. Amazing.
Yeah. It's hysterical. And even the other day, Chris is like, thank God for TikTok for something that, everyone says that. Like, it's just the very first video that took off for me was making fun of the fact that Gen X was on TikTok. And I literally was just like, looked at the camera. I loved that you could like, cut up the videos and stuff. Cause that was always so, frustrating to me. I didn't know about video editing because I was doing videos on Facebook and different things like that, but I never like cut it up. It was just this like live stream or whatever. And so I loved that about TikTok. You could like do the editing in there. But I remember it vividly being like, I don't know about you Gen Xers, but making the switch to TikTok from Facebook was a no-brainer. And I said something else like my stress level has gone from here to here. And then of course that's where the audience came from because it was all these Gen X moms or even the guys that were like, yeah, we're ridiculous and we're on TikTok, but we're also so tired of like all the arguing and, the other social medias that it just spoke to people. So yeah.
That's true. Absolutely. Gen Xers on TikTok. I'm right there with you.
Well, and I feel like the smallest crowd of people right now is the Web3 people that are on TikTok, and the people that aren't just there for a shill. They're not just there to because somebody paid them to say something. Right. I think when you hear the little catchphrases, the "we're so early" and blah blah blah, like look at it like this: when we get the next big wave of people that come from outside of the space into Web3. The amount of content that's there it's going to be absorbed so fast because there's so many people that are going to come in looking for content, and there's just not going to be much there. So if their only example from that is these shills, these guys that have zero shame and they show up on Instagram and they're telling everybody, you look at their stuff, it's a different thing every time, and they're just selling and selling. They don't care about anything. They're just anybody that's willing to pay them, they're willing to shout them out. That is going to be the first wave of people, like what they see when mass adoption starts to trickle in. But the reality is they always say cream rises to the top. So if you're putting out content that's solid now, like Wendy O is a great example with YouTube. She's been doing it for a quick minute. So like when you look into it now, guess who pops up? She does. Yep. So I do think that there's going to be a really big call. The playing field is level right now. So whether you're a man or a woman, or you're young or you're experienced, and you've got this whole life of information from prior to Web3. Now you're bringing that into Web3. If you're integrating and you're speaking about that and you're just educating people and putting out some value, like you will surface to the top for sure. So I would say I would ask if there's any tips that either of you two ladies would like to say. What you would want to see, and this is coming as a human, not as a woman, as a human. What's the kind of content that you would like to see people create so that we can leave people with something? What should they be putting out there that you would enjoy consuming yourself?
Keri.
And either of you jump at that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I want to know, their purpose and why they're really here, right? Why are they spending all their minutes in this crazy space that we call Web3? I want to know what their passion is and why they're really here, right? I don't want to just know about some new PFP project that they are behind. I want to know why they pivoted their life from the traditional everyday into this wild west thing that is totally non-traditional, and it's not like anything. And when you come out of it, you're like, oh my God, I forgot about that other world, right? And that's what I want to know. I want to know the real purpose that people are here.
I like that too. I probably pretty obviously am going to say, I think people need to not take themselves so seriously and start doing some humorous, funny stuff. Even if you don't find yourself funny. This is for men, women, children. I've been trying to get my son to do content. He's so funny, and he doesn't know it. I think more people are funnier than they think. And if you just let it go, stop being so serious, stop being so, worried about money or whatever it is, and just find the humor in whatever it is that you're doing, because trust me, it's all funny. Just find something that's funny, even if it doesn't hit. It's good for your soul to just laugh about whatever it is that you're doing.
All right. Well, I'm selfishly going to use that at NFTLVcon. I'm going to ask our Bulls and Apes fam that shows up there to make some content with me, to not take themselves too seriously, to just do some fun stuff. And then we'll run around and we'll make some fun, blue chips content. And whoever the communities are that show up there, I'm dying to see community members start supporting their communities by making them awesome content, fun, usable stuff that can be reshared, that can be exactly like Brooke's video today, that you just do something, you have something to say, maybe you make it humorous, you chop it up in a way that somebody could watch it, appreciate it, and share it out there. That is my call to action for everybody, that if you want to go be a big support to your community, whether that's Bulls and Apes or it's any community that you're a part of, make them some content. I think that's the future of seeing these communities get spread out to the masses. So Any closing thoughts, Gary? We got this. We're going to come to a close right now, but
no, I mean, this has been amazing. I was looking forward to this. I know, having these wonderful ladies in here, like I said earlier, having a daughter, I think a lot about that. I think about what her impact's going to be in the world, what the world is, how the world is impacting her. I like hearing different perspectives, and this has been a fun space. But we also need to know where we're going to LV, right? I mean, where do we buy tickets? Where do we find you? What's the links? I mean, that's important. That's part of what Keri's doing here, is talking about it. So Keri, where do we find you? Where do we find it? How do we get there?
Yeah. So we're on Eventbrite, and you can go to NFTLVcon.com. and you can hit buy your tickets from there. You can look us right up, community event, Las Vegas NFTs. It'll be on Eventbrite, and you can buy your tickets there. You can find us on Twitter. We are at NFTIRL events. You can find me on Twitter. You can find any of the team members. We're super accessible, and we're talking about it. It's in 18 days. I'm looking forward to just having all the time with the communities, the same as Chris, right? That's selfishly what it's about. Like, bringing my own communities and getting to spend quality time with all of your communities.
That's cool. And Brooke, where are we going to find you? How do we find you? I'm following you already.
I'll be in Las Vegas. I decided last week to fly down.
That's nice. And then how do we find you on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm Brooke J. Lacey everywhere. So it's Brooke J. Lacey on all social platforms. BrookeJLacey.com at the top has links to everything. So yeah, just beware that it's a rabbit hole.
I like rabbit holes. How I got into Web3.
Just be ready.
I'll turn my wife on, do it, let her go down the rabbit hole. So that'd be perfect.
You guys will be like in bed. It'll be like 2 a.m. Like, we have to go to bed.
She does. You know what she does? The funniest thing. She'll be on TikTok, and she goes to sleep with it. She goes to sleep with it on, and it's going on and on and on.
I'm sorry, that I would never. I can't do.
And then what I do is I reach.
Falling asleep in a Twitter space.
I know. And I reach over and hit the pause button to stop. And then in her sleep, she'll roll her thumb back over and hit the play. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
In her sleep. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, just to make it easy for everybody, in case you're not super awesome at hearing something and remembering it perfectly and then going and taking action on it, I'm going to put all the links for all the things below in this video. So if you want to link to Brooke, if you want to check out the Bulls and Apes content, if you want to check out what Keri's working on with the Las Vegas NFT convention, this whole thing is going to be awesome. All that stuff's going to be linked below. I'm going to call it, everybody. I appreciate you for coming. Thank you for having fun with me today. We're definitely going to be talking more and do this again in the future. And I will see you guys in Las Vegas for sure. All right?
Thank you.
Bye,
see you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.